Hello mathematicians, hope in this video you can say I can factor the greatest common factor. So when we are factoring a polynomial, it is kind of like the opposite of multiplying or distributing with polynomials. So we're kind of undoing that process. All right, let's look at a couple of different examples here. We're given 8x plus 64, and we're going to try to factor this expression completely. And in both of these terms, in both 8x and 64, they have a factor of 8, and that is our greatest common factor. So our GCF, or our greatest common factor, is going to be equal to 8. And as I said, factoring polynomials is kind of like undoing multiplication or distribution. So, and when we do that, we're multiplying. So the opposite of that is when we're going to divide. So if we were to divide 8x by 8, we'd just be left with x. If we were to divide 64 by 8, we'd get 8. So we'd x plus 8, and we factored out our 8. So we put our 8 on the outside of these parentheses. So now this is our factored polynomial right here. Let's look at another example here. So we're looking at 18y squared plus 12y. And so now we're going to try to factor this expression completely. So let's try to find our GCF. So our GCF, our greatest common factors, let's just look at the coefficients. So our greatest common factor between 18 and 12 is going to be 6. That is going to be our greatest common factor for the coefficients. And we know that y squared is equal to just y times y. So there is also a greatest common factor when we're talking about the variables here that has a common factor of y. So there's 6 and a y in both of these two terms in this expression. So we can factor out a 6y. So if we were to divide 18y squared divided by 6y, so if let's just do this on over to the side just to kind of show. So if we were to take 18y squared divided by 6y, we would get, well, 18 divided by 6 would give us 3, and y squared divided by y, we take 2 minus 1, so we just get 3y. So if we were to factor out a 6y from 18y squared, we would just be left with 3y. Similarly, if we were to factor out a 6y from 12y, we'd be left with just 2. So we get 3y plus 2 on the inside of this parentheses. And on the outside of the parentheses, we would have our 6y. So this would be this expression is factored completely down here. So this is this version of the expression after it has been factored completely. So that is it for our video. Hope after watching this and getting in a little bit of practice, you can say, I can factor the greatest common factor.